Construction worker injuries. In addition to being eligible for workers' compensation, construction workers might be able to file a civil lawsuit for product liability or negligence. Construction workers frequently undertake highly dangerous jobs that involve working at height, using heavy machinery, equipment, and tools, working on scaffolding, or in trenches below ground. Even though you may be working in or with hazardous buildings and tools etc., you still have the legal right to be protected in your place of work. The construction site has to be safe, and every single member of the construction team should be protected from injuries and unnecessary risks. If you have suffered an injury whilst working on a construction site, you may be able to make a claim. Making a workers' compensation claim. If you have been injured while you were working on a construction site, you may be eligible for workers' compensation. Although the amount of benefit that you may receive could depend on the state you work in, you should be aware that you will not have to prove that someone else caused your injury or had acted in a negligent manner. You have to prove that you sustained injuries and that they occurred while you were employed and at work. Every employer has to have workers' compensation insurance. What will the compensation pay for? Workers' compensation is likely to pay for loss of earnings, medical bills, and any partial or permanent disability. Workers' compensation is limited in this respect, as claiming it will not allow you to take your employer to court. This means that you cannot try to prove that your employer caused your injuries, and you cannot pursue pain and suffering damages. Workers' compensation and civil lawsuits. You may be able to claim for damages against someone else or a company in addition to receiving workers' compensation. However, your claim may depend on your injuries and the circumstances that surround them, and the state that you live in. It is likely that you will work with different vendors and subcontractors fairly frequently, and there are usually a lot of people at work on a construction site. In addition to this, suppliers, architects, and engineers may not physically work on the site, but they can have a role to play in injuries that have been sustained there. If you have been injured whilst working on a construction site, you may be able to claim if you think someone else's negligence caused your injuries. You may also be able to claim against their employer. Taking people to court. If you were injured while working on a construction site, you may be able to take the responsible party or parties to court so you can file a lawsuit against them. To win your lawsuit, you will need to prove another person had a duty to act in a safe and reasonable manner with regards to your safety. This person failed to keep you safe, in other words, they were negligent. You sustained injuries as a result. How negligence can occur on a construction site. Another person may be found negligent due to a wide variety of circumstances that may take place. Some of these circumstances could include driving in a reckless manner that led to your accident, electric shocks that were sustained when using faulty equipment, falling from improperly erected scaffolding, improperly built or secured trench barriers, repetitive motion injuries, safety equipment that had been poorly designed or manufactured, toxic or hazardous chemical spills or leaks due to bad decisions or faulty equipment, injuries and product liability lawsuits. If your injury was caused by equipment, but it was not caused by the improper use of the equipment, you may be able to file a product liability lawsuit. This is especially the case if the tool or piece of equipment injured you because it was poorly made or it had a faulty design. In cases such as these, your claim will be seen as a civil lawsuit, specifically a product liability lawsuit. The defendant, the person or people you are making the claim against, could ultimately be the individual who designed the defective tool you were working with or a parts supplier. Despite the fact that the tool designer, for example, had never set foot on the construction site, they might have played a role in your injury. In product liability lawsuits, you must be able to prove that the equipment or tool you were using was unreasonably dangerous when the manufacturer or supplier sent it to you. You were using the equipment or tool exactly as it was intended to be used, and the defect caused your injury. Construction workers frequently undertake highly dangerous jobs, but they should be able to work in a safe environment with tools and equipment that pose no safety threats. If you have been injured whilst working on a construction site, please speak to a lawyer as soon as you can, as they may be able to prove that you have a workers' compensation or product liability case.